Hey YouTube, what's up? Sparkles here, and today we're going to be reading But They Told Me Never to Go in the Basement Part 3. Before we get started, please like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell button down below. Let's get on to it. I sent a letter to my absentee father to let him know I would meet in the basement of our old house. And no other way of contacting him. His address was a mailbox out of a store because he preferred to live off the grid. No cell phone, no landline, no email. I pictured him hunched over a fireplace in a small log cabin deep in a dark forest. I suppose if I tried really hard I could find him, but my desire to do such a thing had died a long time ago. I figured I had about a week to find my way back to the old place. We'd never officially sold it. We had simply moved on, abandoning our ties at the memories that had soaked into the walls. I received many letters from interested in a house owners wanting to buy the land, but I replied to every one of them my apologies. For a long time I thought my apprehension was sentimental, some sort of twisted loyalty fueled by nostalgia. For the past few weeks have taught me that I was wrong. Fear and has been dictating my movements for longer than I care about a minute. Sorry. I could not let anyone else go into that basement. Responding to my father awoke something within me. For the first time in a long time, I felt the pang of loneliness that comes with serving a familiar connection. It was time to call my brother. I searched for 20 minutes before I realized I had left my cell phone in my car. I walked into the hallway and called for my elevator. The hallway was extraordinarily quiet. My apartment building holds around 90 rooms, and my hallway seemed to always be bustling with activity. I glanced at my watch. 4 o'clock p.m.? Normally a busy time. But today, the world had stopped. As I waited for the elevator, I strained to hear anything. Loud television, the clinking of cutlery against dishware, laughter, yelling matches between neighbors. Not a single sound. I could only hear cables smashing together as they struggled under the weight of the elevator. I felt like the last remaining tree of a forest fire, surrounded by the ashes of my kin, as the raging inferno burns hot and bright against the black sky. I shuddered at the television, tried to breathe deep, to let a calm feeling take hold of me. I was on my third deep breath when the elevator finally chimed its arrival. Suddenly, I didn't want the doors to open. A wave of fear crashed over me, dreading me anxiety as sweet as so sorry as sweat dripped. Began to pour forth from my forehead. I was so overwhelmingly afraid that the elevator would open and something would be inside, something that was cast out of my deepest, darkest nightmares, so that I may be consumed by it. I saw visions of the woman from the bar, hanging from the rafters and stretching her long limbs towards me. As she cracked her lips open and smiled at me, I imagined the doors opening and revealing a dark crevice, like those found in underwater caves, and it would pull me in like a black hole and squeeze my body until all that remained was dust from my bones. Wonderful. I closed my eyes when I heard the doors open. Breathing slowly. Exhaled. I waited to hear the sounds of the door closing. All I could hear was the mechanical hum of the door motor. No, something else. Whisper. Someone was whispering my name. I screamed in defense. As I opened my eyes, I'm tired of hiding and waiting. Nothing. The elevator was empty. Relief can be so strong sometimes. It is almost palpable. It was as if I had swallowed all of my fear and it was burning away, consumed by my stomach acid. I laughed. The sound bounced off the walls of the empty hallway and came back into my ears, of a former shell of itself. I stepped into the elevator and rode it down to the underground parking garage. The doors opened and I started to make my way to the car. The sound of my shoes hitting the concrete floor echoed in the cavernous parking structure. The feeling of unease had dispensed upstairs came rushing back. I twisted my head around as I continued walking, but my eyes couldn't find anybody that was down there with me. Usually, the garage is filled with sounds of squealing tires and running engines. The secure beep of remotely locked car. The echoes of conversation as people arrive home. Tonight was altogether different. The only sounds that filled the stale air was the soles of my leather boots, but one foot in front of the other, and my increasingly heavy breathing. Then I heard the sound of a door opening and closing. I rolled around trying to locate the source. I was about 20 paces away from my car, but I froze on the spot, waiting to hear the inventable sounds of footsteps. None came. I counted to 3, like I used to on the top of the basement stairs, waiting for my dad to turn on the light. 1 Mississippi. I turned. Well, a sound emitted from somewhere behind me. Not quite footsteps, more like someone dragging their feet behind them, like zombie. 2 Mississippi. I turned around, but I couldn't see anybody. The shuffling sound quickened. 3 Mississippi. I couldn't stand there any longer. I broke into a sprint for my car, reached the passenger side first. The shuffling grew closer. Sound. I fumbled for my keys in my pocket. Cursed at myself for not having them ready earlier. My fingers collapsed over the car key. I tore my hand out in a flash. The shuffling sounded like it was right behind me now, but I didn't dare to look. I concentrated solely on getting into the car. I thought if I could do that, somehow I would be safe. I just had put the key into the slot when the shuffling sound stopped. That lady need to calm her tits or something, 'cause she's being mean to him. I held my breath. Someone was breathing right behind me. I could feel warm air on the back of my neck. I couldn't move. Then someone talked. Please help me. The voice sounded strained and frail, like something was wrapped around the throat. I didn't turn around. Instead, I unlocked the door and opened it as quickly as I could, threw myself into the passenger seat and locked doors. Only then did I find the courage to turn around. I wish I hadn't. I screamed as I saw the woman from the bar press her face against the passenger window. Her long black hair was sickly and matted, strewn about her pale face. I could only see her mouth, which was cracked wide open, as if she was trying to chew through the window, through the glass. I think about dogs when I think about that part. It's like she had a noose around her neck, and she held it up with one arm in the air, so that the loop cut into her skin under her jaw. See me? I was frantic. I clumsily climbed into the driver's side, and fumbled the keys into the ignition slot. The woman still had her face pressed against the window, her jaw moving up and down as her teeth clanked against the glass. Then, despite the sound of the engine turning over as I twisted the key, and despite the sound of my heartbeat pounding against the inside of my skull, I heard her talk again. "I told you not to come down here." She practically screamed it, and her voice seemed to drill through the window as I penetrate my ears. I screamed too. Then my foot pressed down on the gas pedal, and I was out of there. 10 minutes later, I pulled onto the side of the road, called my brother. He picked up after 3 rings. I hadn't spoke to my brother in 10 years. The formalities would come later. "We have to meet," was all I said. Silence was on the other end at first. I could almost hear his brain turning. "Okay," was all he said. I couldn't figure out if I was pleased or anxious about his reply. My apprehension would have to be quelled for the moment. Time, I felt, was not on my side. Whatever was happening was escalating. I remember the time I was rafting down a river. The way the current seemed to hold still, the way the sounds of the surrounding forest seemed to be smothered by something ancient and powerful. The waterfall drifting towards the edge, and a rubber raft, helpless against the force of nature's fury. I was there now, in a I don't know that word, precise, or something like that. I only hope my brother could throw me a lifeline. I met him in a park. The sun had just hidden behind the horizon as the night had taken over the sky, and silver of bright orange, the only remnant of the burning day. I stood up from a park bench and walked over to meet him. Older, but slightly shorter, my brother was my physical equality in every way but height. With the same eyes, the same broad brow, I could see it in his face. The weight of years upon years of silence between us. He was withered, burned by responsibilities of a wife and a child who depended on him. I never met my nephew. He stopped just short of me, sizing me up as I done. His face betrayed little emotion. "My brother," he said, and came to me with arms wide open. We embraced. I felt like crying. The dam was splitting and cracking. I skipped the small talk. There was still a clock in my head. I was counting down, but to what? I did not know. Dad wrote to me. He wants to meet. I looked at him, and as I said it, searching for a reaction, for the slightest of movements, his eyes lit up, and he smiled. It was gone as soon as it had arrived. His face darkened. His eyes sagged. "There is nothing in this. Nothing for you, nothing for me. He wants me to go into the basement." He sighed. It was a heavy thing. Breathing, spilling from his mouth and draining him. He was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke. I need to tell you a story. As I stood there, looking at him, he took this as a sign that he should continue. After you moved out of the house, I got a letter from someone I used to know in high school. She still lives in her hometown, saddled with an overweight husband and a delinquent child. She was writing to tell me of an incident that involved our old abandoned house. The child there treated like the children child what the heck? The children there treated like the local hunting spot where only the bravest enter. If you can be inside for an hour, you've earned your stripes, so to speak. Her son was inside, killing time by exploring when he discovered the entrance to the basement. Thinking that something from down there would give him the ultimate credibility, he went searching. It was here that he paused, swaying back and forth on the balls of his feet of momentum, would push the words out. After the hour had passed, the other children called out for him, but nobody came out of the house. They were too scared to go in themselves, so one of them called his mom. She came in a hurry and was sprinting into the house as soon as her car had stopped rolling. Then came screams, first from her and then the children. She came out of that house carrying her child, only he wasn't a child any longer. His skin was shriveled and dry like leather left it out in heat. His eyes was completely white and his hair falling out in matted clumps. He was muttering something under his breath, stuck in a trance. My brother took something out of his pocket, a piece of paper, what I could only assume to be the original letter. He continued. His mother wrote down what he said. I saw a man. We were on a cliff, and he was looking over on the edge. He turned to me and smiled, and then the world began to crumble. The rock beneath our feet collapsed onto itself and swallowed the man. The whole cliff was shaking and groaning. I could hear the man screaming as he fell into an abyss. Arms tore out from under me. They grabbed my feet and pulled me into the earth. I tried to scream, but dirt fell into my mouth and filled my throat. I fell for an eternity. I landed on the edge of a cliff, stood up, and looked over the edge. I smiled. Then he died, right then and there in her arms. He folded the paper and put it back into his pocket. Looked at me. She asked me to burn the place down, so I did. I burnt it to the ground. I killed the house that killed our father. Okay, guys. So, that's the end of part 3. I hope y'all like this video because there's also a part 4 coming up tomorrow night. My sister is coming over this weekend. So excited. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye, guys.